breaking barriers and bridging the gaps between patients and doctors. Welcome to Brainstorming with the Docs and your co-hosts, Dr. Glenn Harrison and Dr. Kolby Condos.
All right, everyone, welcome back to this week's episode of Brainstorming with the Docs. I'm Dr. Kolby Condos, my co-host, as always, Dr. Glenn Harrison. How's it going, bud?
Doing good. Doing really, really good. How are you this fine evening?
I will tell you what, the pollen count is really high.
Pollen.
Yeah, the pollen count's really high in Minnesota right now.
Yeah, so you're the pollen gauge. Better. Here's the pollen gauge.
Yeah. If anyone's wondering, it's really high. My right eye is telling me it's currently in the red.
So does it get worse with exercise?
Outside exercise it does.
Which is what we're talking today a little bit about.
So if this is your first time watching or listening and you have questions about health or common health concerns or things that you can do to improve your health, please hit like and subscribe and turn on notifications because we're going to continue to roll out new content like this every other week or so. And you never know when we might have something on here that's applicable to you. So yeah, let's talk exercise. More importantly, when we were kind of coming up with ideas for exercise, because we're starting to kind of round into the time of the year where it's really nice outside and people are becoming a little bit more physically active.
Yeah.
We really dove into how exercise and physical exertion can impact your mental health. So why don't you go ahead and drop some of the stats that we looked up, which are pretty astounding.
Yeah. No, I think it's crazy. So no one's really talking about the benefits of exercise and mental health. It's just kind of this fluffy thing that seems nice, but the data is really, really, really powerful. So there was here was one in one study, researchers found that those who got regular vigorous exercise were 25% less likely to develop depression or an anxiety disorder over the next 5 years. And that was October 28th. There was a study just last year. Another study showing physical activity is 1.5 times more effective. This is crazy. 1.5 times more effective at reducing mild to moderate symptoms of depression, psychological stress, and anxiety than medications or cognitive behavior therapy, according to another study. So, when you combine all these therapies and exercise is like 1.5% more effective, why isn't it prescribed in every mental
time.
Health
or an adjunct too, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, we're going to do this. And then also you're going to start exercising.
That's right. And it's not. So whoever's listening to this, if there is anything going on, I know, and you and I really started to dial in our activity. I think we're holding ourselves accountable when we have our little chats during our recordings. But I notice now, if I miss a few days, I don't feel the same. Just a few days. I know that I don't feel as as positive about things. Just a few days.
I would say the same thing about myself. I think that when I exercise regularly, I'm a better provider. I'm a better father. I'm a better spouse. I'm a better friend. Everything. Right.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily that I instantly became better at all of those things. It's probably like literally that I'm starting to release these feel-good neurotransmitters and hormones and regulate my energy, and you're burning some calories, and movement drives brain growth.
That's right. Yeah. So, why is this important? Why is this topic so important?
Well, I mean, you look at it, and depression is something that is just like running rampant through the population in general, like every population. I think that it was interesting too, because when we reference a couple of those studies, they say that people that suffer from depression don't generally follow their medication, like their pharmaceutical interventions, appropriately.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't take them the way they're supposed to.
Yeah,
so how are they supposed to work if you're not taking them regularly, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The other thing that we found that the studies suggested is that people who suffer from depression on average die 10 years earlier than peers who aren't depressed.
Yeah.
Think about that.
That's hard to believe. Increase lifespan by 10 years. That's not even saying putting down the Cheetos. That's
just like, hey, if you exercise,
yeah.
And I think that that's an interesting kind of segue, because it's like, okay, is that is it a comorbidity? You know what I mean? Is it they're dying 10 years earlier because they are sedentary, or is it from the depression, or is it both? You know what I mean? Or do we care? Or can we
That's
just
right.
safely say, like, maybe you should exercise because it's super good for you? It's going to make you less depressed and you're going to live longer and a better quality of life.
That's right. Yeah.
The other part of it is like exercise is ridiculously cheap. You don't have to be going to the gym, like
Yeah,
I can't
you don't
afford
need
it.
a bunch
Well,
of you don't need
no.
a bunch of equipment in your garage to feel better. No.
Can you do a push up? You can't do a push up, we'll do a modified push up. There you go. Get
Can you
started.
walk? Right? Can
Yeah.
you walk? Yeah, we were talking about anxiety and depression last year costs $1.5 trillion in lost time at work worldwide.
That's crazy.
1.5 trillion, and then of course it's connected to all sorts of other comorbidities like cardiovascular disease. So
Yeah.
so emotional health is our minds steer where we go in this world, and our bodies are designed to run the way they're supposed to run without all of this emotional burden. We didn't talk about this, but there was some research I came across, or somebody I was following came across, and you can induce anxiety and depression in animals just by putting them in a cage where they can't move very much. It doesn't take very long and they get very, very depressed. So activity is directly related to is an antidepressant. So if it's 1.5% or times more effective than all of these other therapies, physical activity should be a prescription. It should be the first thing that's prescribed.
Yeah.
And it's not.
You're absolutely right. And here's the thing.
There's no money. There's no money in activity.
Right. Well, and if you're suffering from anxiety and depression and you're sedentary, that's a great place for you to start.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be bad. I mean, you're looking for a resource. We did a podcast on the most clinically effective form of exercise, right? That we think is very beneficial. I can't remember the episode number, but you can go back through it.
That's right.
And we talk about interval training. We talk about how to do it. I mean, there's resources out there, even on here, that you can find.
That's right.
And it's free, right? Just get on Spotify, wherever you're listening, and find it.
And we can know what we need to do. We can know what we need to do. We can be given the evidence that we need to do it. But why is it so hard? And this kind of takes us to, how do we start, right? And because I think when we get depressed or negative or down, the last thing we want to do is push ourselves. The last thing we want to do is pry our butts off a sofa or out from front of a TV because we're getting that dopamine spike with zero effort looking at a screen or our cell phones or whatever. So it definitely takes us one step, but that one step will change your life. And it doesn't have to be grand. So how do we start? Well, we talked about this, and in fact, we recorded and we were talking about what we're going to talk about today. And there was a patient I was just talking to about this exact same thing yesterday. Her energy's up, all these great things are happening, and now we're ready to add in a layer of physical activity. We didn't start right away. We started something light, but now we're getting into the more intensity of it. And the first thing I asked her, I had my own things I wanted her to do, but how we need the easiest buy-in. So I asked her, what did you like to do, ever in life? And, she had to go back 20 years when she was feeling better and life was different. And then she said, she really, really liked, trail hiking here in Colorado. That's an easy thing. And I can't remember what else she liked, but that was one of them. So that was the thing we were going to do. I had other goals for her, but that's not where we'd start. We have to do the thing that we were more conditioned and versed in. It's the easiest buy-in. So that's kind of like what we tell everybody. What did you like doing in the past, and using it as a springboard to be able to get conditioned and feel better. Like you and I, when we're talking, I'm very, conditioned and versed in resistance training. Well, if I was trying to get back into a workout and someone said, no, Dr. Harrison, you have to run, I'd be like,
not a
that's
chance.
A tall order.
Not unless I'm being chased.
Yeah, that's a tall order. But getting back intensely into resistance training will be a springboard for me to, like I mentioned, I got to start, getting my cardiometabolic performance up again, training, running, intensity like that. So pick what you like, what you're versed in, if there is anything, and then use it as a springboard to get into something more, more in depth.
Here's the
And
thing, though. If you've never done it before, right, then
Mhm.
you have the world is your oyster, right? Dig it.
Yeah,
Find
yeah,
something you like. If it's pickleball, go play pickleball.
that's right.
If it's hiking, go hiking. If you're like, you know what, I really want to throw heavy weights around, find someone to help you, right?
Mhm.
Hire a professional. There's tons of people out there.
That
Um,
that's exactly right. Or if and they're all willing and motivated to help. And there's always a beginner in every circle,
yes,
always. And
it
I
might be as
always,
easy as like joining something at the YMCA, right?
yeah, yeah. I always tell people you're way better off to be at the front of the room than at the back of the room. Because if
Right.
you're at the front of the room, you're growing. If you're at the back of the room, you're just wasting time with life. So keep putting yourself in a difficult place.
Right. It's kind of like that. What is it? It's like an ancient Chinese proverb for trees. Like the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. That
Oh,
applies to physical activity.
I
The
never
best
heard
time to
that.
start exercising was 20 years ago. The second best time is today.
Mhm. Yeah. So now we started. Okay. So say we're started. Now what does it take to be consistent?
This is
This is
like
the
my
other
favorite
challenge.
part. This applies. We talk about this stuff all the time, right? You can reference a bunch of our other podcasts. I love accountability partners, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I meet my lifting partner at the gym every day
Mm-hmm.
and we hold each other accountable. Actually, I asked you today before we started, hey, did you get your lift in today? So
Yeah.
someone that you can go with that you enjoy, like you click with, you can hold each other accountable.
That's right.
And there's apps that can help you track your consistency, whether it's like, how heavy you're going, like that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
There's
Or
watches,
or
there's
initially,
tons.
yeah, initially it doesn't even have to be the metrics of really what you're doing, but showing up.
Yep. Hey, I'll meet you
And
there at 11.
yeah, a lot of these gyms now, like the one that I go to, you scan your phone or your card or whatever it is, phones with the apps, and then it tracks how many how many times you've been in that month, etc. And then it gives you these badges and all this stuff. And it seems hokey and kind of pointless. No, it hits home with me. I'm like, okay, if I can be more consistent, I can hit that next threshold this month versus last month. So it starts to turn into a game, and that we're pushing for. And some of these technologies can be really good. Just don't make it too complex. Keep it the simplest thing. You know,
Remove
the tech,
barriers.
yeah, the technology with like what I'm saying, the app, it's easier for me to do because I don't have to do anything. I just scan my phone and it pops up. Versus if I have a calendar at home and I put an X on it and it's on the wall, well, then I got to go and put my X on it and see my X's on the front of. That simple little step is harder to do. But yeah, so reminding ourselves of why are we doing it and what's important to us, and and usually I think the reminder, at least in my world, the reminder is initially is my goal is I want to be able to do it for an X amount of time to see when I should expect a change. And then by the time I get to that X consistency months, whatever it is, it's funny because it turns into autopilot already, and you start to see the fruits of your labor, whether that's a
Yep.
strength or body metrics or whatever. So you really you can't measure body metrics at the start. You
No.
really have to measure the inputs and then set a goal for the time you're going to hold the line. I think that's it. And then after
Well, and
that,
especially with like mental health, right?
oh
So
yeah,
when like bringing it all
yeah.
the way back, like
How
you're
do
not
you?
going to exercise one time and feel like fixed. You're not going to feel like significant, and you will feel different, right?
Mhm. That's
But
right.
do it for 3 months, do it for 6 months, and see how you feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because it's going to take some time, but the payoff is
Mhm.
pretty. At least in my world, even in my personal life, it's been pretty impactful. So
Oh, for sure. They say, yeah. So coming back to the kind of the beginning of someone's listening to this and they have anxiety, they're struggling with depression, they're struggling with, they're on polypharmacy. Most people are, some people aren't, but it doesn't matter. This, if statistically it's that powerful, some physical activity, and you don't have to, I don't know, be a gym rat. You don't have to be a marathon runner. You don't need any of this. It could be simple as tying your shoes at a certain time every day after work, whatever it is, and going for a 15 to 20-minute walk, getting moving, that will change. That will change you. And then it creates confidence that you're doing it every day. So then you have more courage and more confidence, and then it'll branch into other things. It's very, very, very powerful. So if someone is kind of feeling isolated and in the corner and don't know what to do, nature has given you probably the best medicine for mental health disorders. And it's right there. It doesn't cost anything.
It's exercise. Get after it.
Yeah.
And if you have questions on exercise, go back and listen to our exercise podcast.
That's right. Yeah. And make a metric and say you're going to do it for, commit to 1 month. 1 month of doing something every day or every other day, whatever it is, and hold the line. In 1 month, you will start to feel differences. You will sleep better. Everything will start changing. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
30 days.
We hope you guys got value out of this. If you guys have questions or comments, you can get a hold of us at info@brainstormingwiththedocs.com. You can always get on our websites. Mine is northlakeschiropractic.com. Glenn's is chock full of information as always, and his is drgharrison.com. We do have a link to some supplements that we commonly use in the description. You guys can get on that. And again, if you have questions, comments, concerns, topics, let us know. We'd love to talk about them. And
and also make a comment after your 30 days of your activity.
If you do this and you commit to us, let us know and let us know how your outcomes were.
I will share your story if you allow us.
There you go. So, again, enjoyed it, buddy. So,
all right, that's good. Enjoy your workout.
You too. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.